Hey, what's up everyone? TJ here. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the Bataleon Wallie snowboard. I had the chance to try this board out at Keystone as well as get some park laps in over at Copper. Had a lot of fun on it, and today I'm gonna talk about all the tech and specs as well as share my thoughts on how it felt out on the mountain. Let's get right into it. All right, so the Wallie is a freestyle and park-focused snowboard on the Bataleon lineup. It's got a true twin shape, and it's designed to be a playful board with a skate-inspired feel to it. It runs a positive camber profile, so between the contact points, that widest point on the nose and tail, it runs full positive camber, and it's Bataleon's low camber, so it's not super aggressive, but it is gonna give you a little bit more energy and a little bit more precision out of the board while still maintaining that overall playful feel to it. It runs Bataleon's Jib 3BT, so on the sides of the nose and tail of the board, the base and edge is actually uplifted away from the snow. It's gonna give this board a really nice catch-free feel to it, a smooth transition going from edge to edge as well. And you can also see on the nose and tail that the tips are rounded up pretty sharply. And that's actually where the name of the Wallie comes from. It's like a skate-inspired feature. So if you're trying to do any of those Wallie type tricks where you're jamming the board into something, whether that's like a snow block, a log, a feature, or even jamming down off a feature into the hard pack, it's gonna help the board flex and get through that without the tips catching. So opens up some possibilities for those more skate-inspired tricks if you're into that. You're also gonna find a central piece of carbon in this board running right down the middle from nose to tail to give this board a little bit more energy and a little bit more pop. You know, it is a pretty soft, playful snowboard, so that carbon just helps to get a little bit more out of it without stiffening the board up torsionally. Other than that, the Wallie does run an extruded base. So what that means for you is less maintenance when it comes to waxing. You don't have to be as on top of it, and the board's gonna maintain a pretty consistent glide. It's also gonna be easier to repair if you scratch the base up, jibbing out in the park or out there looking for natural features, maybe jibbing some rocks or logs or anything like that. It's gonna hold P-Tex a little bit better, and it's also gonna allow Bataleon to keep the price point a little bit lower on this snowboard. As far as the flex goes, like I've been saying, the Wallie is a pretty playful snowboard overall. The flex is for sure on the softer side of medium, getting pretty soft. The Wallie is one of those boards that just kind of does what you want it to do without really putting up too much of a fight. It's really easy to get flex out of it. You can just shift your weight a little bit towards the nose or tail, pretty mellow to get that flex going. A lot of fun for presses and butters and things like that. And I also think for that type of stuff, the Jib 3BT comes into play and helps out. So what Bataleon does is vary the width of that center base here, that's what they call it. And the Jib 3BT is gonna have the widest center base. So it's gonna be a wider platform for those presses and butters, locking into rails and things like that, while still giving you those uplifted edges to make it super catch-free anytime you're leaned into the nose or tail, or even sliding sideways on rails if you get out to that 3BT area of the snowboard. And even though this is a pretty soft snowboard, you can still get some decent pop out of it. That positive camber profile combined with that carbon running from tip to tail helps to give this board a little bit more energy. You can just get a little bit more out of it when you're loading up the nose or tail. You're not gonna get everything you put into the board back. Some of that energy is gonna be lost when you're loading up tension in the nose or tail, just because it is a relatively soft board, but I thought it still had a really great feel for that just more jibby freestyle type of riding. And on that note, you know, this board does fall on the more playful side of the spectrum. So one of the biggest compromises is gonna be with stability. In those higher impact situations, whether that's landings on bigger jumps or you're bombing down hills going fast at higher speeds, I think that's gonna be where this board struggles a little bit. As far as those higher impact situations in the park goes, like for landings on those bigger features, particularly on bigger jumps, you can definitely still do it, but it's not gonna be the strong suit for this board. If you land with your weight shifted towards the nose or tail, there's really not a ton of stability there, so there's a good chance the board might wash out. If you're hitting the larger features, definitely try to stay centered on this guy. And when you're cruising outside of the park, this really isn't a high-speed charger. As you start to go fast, you're probably gonna be able to find the limits carving with this guy. You might get a little bit of chatter in the nose and tail as well, so it's really more of like a mellow cruiser, looking for those more surfy skate style lines, looking for side hits, and just that playful freestyle feel overall. And if you do find some powder out there exploring, the 3BT might help a little bit compared to just a traditional park twin, but you're really not gonna get much of a benefit. You know, it's a full camber, true twin snowboard in the end. Overall, the Wallie is just gonna be a jibby freestyle board with a playful feel. It's easy to control, and it's gonna be a great board for progression in the park if that's something that you're looking for. It's a flexi board, it's jibby, it's buttery. It's gonna do what you want it to do without fighting back too much and still come through with some decent pop. And with those Wallie tips combined with all the other characteristics in this board, I think it's a solid one for just a creative approach to park riding. Definitely more of a jibber than a jumper, you know, gonna be good for hitting rails and boxes and finding progression on those types of features, but still gonna be fun for transition. I would just keep it a little bit more mellow and maybe not hit the biggest features in the park with this guy unless you're really on point with it. So definitely a great choice for that style of riding for you more experienced riders. Could also be a great option for beginners looking for that freestyle progression. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, definitely consider the Bataleon Wallie. It's a pretty unique snowboard. I like the simple graphic on it as well. And if you want to read more about it, I'll have it linked down in the description below. If you've had a chance to ride this board or have any questions for me, let me know your thoughts down in the comments as well. If you got some value out of this video, please make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more snowboard videos, guys, and hit me up on Instagram as well. If you got any questions, you want to see some behind the scenes stuff with the board reviews, you can catch me on there at Board Archive. I really appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in a new video soon. See you guys.